in sharing all of their thoughts and ideas. Next up, to discuss the future of money, we have none other than Richmond Teo, co-founder at Paxos, and also CZ, founder and CEO of Binance. Moderating this next panel, we have Joe Yo, Head of Payments Development and Data Connectivity at the Monetary Authority of Singapore. Remember, this is a Slido-enabled session. Click the QR code if you would like to submit your questions. You know the drill. Guys, over to you. Hi everyone, just want to make sure that CZ is in the house.
Oh, there we go.
Hello CZ, good to see you.
Yeah.
Good to see you, and good to see you Richmond too, in person here. And stablecoins, the future that is your money. A very large stage for a very large topic. Understatement of the year is that it's been quite eventful, 2022, right? But so, what is your view on us rethinking stablecoins? You know, what are the market gaps that stablecoins can still address? You know, this morning we heard from MD Ravi giving the speech this morning about even atomic settlement happening for fiat rails. Fiat rails themselves are going on DLT. So, Rich, your views, any rethinking of what stablecoins are doing?
Sure, happy to start. Great seeing you, CZ. Well, so I think that the market volatility that we're seeing and you know, what we saw happen to what we thought were trusted counterparties, that kind of really highlighted the need for consumer protection in the industry. And I think consumer protection is going to become very important. It shouldn't just be a statement on a website. It should be a lot more than that. And consumer protection is something that's actually built right into BUSD. BUSD, Binance US dollar. Consumer protection is built into that simply because the reserves are fully backed and very transparent. The company, the entity is bankruptcy remote. And most importantly, we have a primary prudential regulator in the New York Department of Financial Services that really ensures that all that happens, right? So I think consumer protection being built in will gather greater trust amongst retail users. What we're seeing, at least since then, is that our larger unregulated competitors have shrunk in size over the last couple of months. BUSD, on the other hand, has grown by about 17%. So I think that shows that retail cares more about safety. I think in terms of gaps that you see, I think that atomic swaps, which is interesting.
Yeah, that's right.
You know, we're seeing just so much more interest from traditional financial services to use stable coins as a form of settlement. It's instant, it's 24/7, and it allows for immediate delivery, DVP, delivery versus payment. So I think that as these institutions start to get into how stablecoins can be used to improve that, they would choose similar characteristics to what BUSD is built on.
Yeah.
And so I think BUSD is well positioned to capture both retail and corporate use of stablecoins.
And one question I wanted to address to CZ is, you know, do we need so many stable coins? You know, now that what's going to happen to Binance Coin now that the focus seems to be shifting to BUSD? Your thoughts on that?
Sure. Thanks, Joe. And I think Rich did a great job, advertising, selling, and explaining what BUSD is. So I do believe we need a lot more cryptocurrencies, different coins. BUSD does not compete with BNB, which is a very different type of coin. We need stable coins for transactions, payments, etc. And then we need other innovative coins for community development, ecosystem development, more use cases, etc. The two does not conflict at all. In fact, I think we need even more stable coins. We need. You asked earlier about what's the gap.
Yeah.
We don't have a Singapore dollar stable coin today. We should make one. We should make one soon.
Are you going to make one soon?
Absolutely,
Awesome.
without hesitation.
So it's BUSD and SGD as well. BSGD.
Yeah, we'll come up with a good name.
Okay.
But, that's a good start.
Okay, we'll hold you to that. But back to CZ actually, if you could walk us through, there was a decision that Binance made that was not without some controversy, right? The auto conversion of global stablecoins like USDC into BUSD. I mean, let's put aside BSGD for a moment, but BUSD auto conversion into that. You know, how does this impact users and the market? And also, could you share with us, CZ, about what was the thought process behind that, the objective? Did it achieve the objectives and those aims?
Yeah, so very good question. So we think about things from a user perspective. So before, we had many different stablecoin pairs, and so each coin, Bitcoin trades with BUSD, USDT, USDC, a bunch of other stablecoins. And the liquidity is segregated into different trading pairs. For a retail user to find the best price, they need to look at 5 different trading pairs. If they don't have an API or an algorithm, it's quite difficult to always get the best trading price. And then there's deposit withdrawal, which coin should I deposit, convert, etc. So it's just a very cumbersome process where we said, hey, look, all of those coins are based on US dollars. And when they come in, so we still accept deposits in in all the original stable coins that we accepted. That didn't change. When they come in, we convert one to one to BUSD, which is which is one of the highest fiat-backed and audited stable coins. And this way we have one pair, one liquidity pool combined. Everybody gets the best price. Retail users don't need to look at 5 different screens to figure out where they want to trade. They don't have to convert twice. And when they want to withdraw, they don't have to withdraw in BUSD. They can withdraw in any of the stable coins we support. So it's a much simpler user experience. It's not so much about BUSD in this case. It's really about simplifying that user experience and combining the liquidity together.
But what's your response to some comments that have said that, oh, they're delisting, you know, things like that? What's your response to that?
So we didn't delist the USDC or anything else. People can deposit and withdraw, and there's just one US dollar-based trading pair. So all the liquidity is combined into one. And of course, for marketing, for promotion reasons, we of course choose BUSD because it has the Binance branding on it. That's all it is. So nothing's really changed for the user. For most users, the experience is much better.
So it's not just BUSD, it's BAU. That's what CZ is saying, right? Now, moving on to regulation, since we are now about halfway through, wanted to ask you, Rich, given that stablecoins are going more mainstream, right? More mainstream in that way, what rules do you think regulators should put in place to drive a vibrant market and at the same time also build user confidence? And just on this point, heard something quite interesting from one of the panelists yesterday also, where he said that this is the Jerry Maguire test, you know, the show me the money test. So wanted to get your reaction on that, and then later over to CZ.
I think if show me the money would be a very easy thing for BUSD to do at any given point in time. You know, what should regulators do for a vibrant market? I think you know, for any vibrant market or any mature market that we expect retail and a large number of mainstream users to actually adopt, we probably need to have a lot of clarity. We need to have consistency, and we need to have certainty of what the rules are and what the standards are. And I think regulators come in and they can help enforce that. You know, great primary prudential regulators who tell people that these things are indeed happening and are in effect will basically bring markets that level of consistency. And once that has been established, then there's confidence for, like what we talked about earlier, for financial institutions to want to build on top of that. Without that level of knowledge consistency, I don't think people will be comfortable using any particular stablecoin. So, you know, I definitely think that, you know, that's those are the important factors. In terms of what are the specifics behind that, a lot of it would revolve around, number one, what exactly is in your reserves, right? Everyone may or may not have a different definition of cash, and that has to be consistent. I think that being bankruptcy remote is extremely important, which I mentioned before, and that provides the best level of protection. Right, so I think there are a lot of factors that are very important, but it's only after we establish that layer that we can really build a vibrant market.
Right. So over to CZ, your views on what you think regulators should pay attention to, since you operate in quite a number of markets, you've had extensive regulatory conversations. Wanted to get your take on that beyond, I suppose, show me the money, or maybe in another Jerry Maguire situation, what completes what? CZ, your views.
Thank you. So I think show me the money is actually a very good mentality to have. There should be audits about reserves, both in stablecoin fiat reserves, and also, for us, our wallets. Do we have full 100% reserves for all of our user assets? And for any exchange, for any business in crypto. So I think show me the money is really the right mentality to go for. And I actually encourage all regulators to do that much more heavily than they're doing today. So we're fully ready for it. I hope all the other, I believe all the other well-managed exchanges should be very ready for it. That's one part. There's many other parts about regulations at the higher buckets. I think front and center for Singapore will be retail access to crypto. Today, it's still somewhat restricted, which is not wrong. So I think different countries have different situations, different stances. It is not wrong to take a very cautious step. But with Hong Kong opening up to retail access, should Singapore reevaluate that? Retail access is available in many parts of the world. Singapore does other things quite well. So far, it's protected consumers really, really well. If you look at other neighboring countries, India had this high tax situation, which is probably going to kill the industry. Japan used to have very severe limits on which coins an exchange can list, and that really reduced the industry activity in Japan. But now they're reversing that. They're reopening up. So, and in the US, very, very good banking support for cryptocurrency exchanges. There's the ACH protocol where cryptocurrency exchanges can deduct money from the user's bank account automatically each month without the user only authorized once. So those type of things are happening in different parts of the world. I think Singapore has always been a little bit conservative, which is actually a good approach for a new industry. But those are some of the topics that's worth thinking about, comparing to the rest of the world.
Yeah. So how do you think then retail users can learn by doing? Because I think that's a principle we also apply for ourselves, learning by doing. How do you think that they can do so, but still keep their assets safe, keep it within safe limits, I suppose? For example, there was an earlier conversation we had on the site about how much of the net worth do you think a lay user might be comfortable to still put in there? Your thoughts on that, CZ?
So education is super, super important. So we have educational initiatives or collaborations with multiple governments around the different parts of the world. So I'm in Lisbon right now. If you look at the government website of Portugal, in the education section about crypto, they use Binance Academy content. The content is free anyway, so they ask for our permission. We're very happy to provide that. We have Binance Academy, Binance Masterclass, Binance Scholarship, Binance University interns. With all of these programs, we would love to be able to share that in Singapore. We actually had some interactions with different universities in Singapore before already. So education is super important. On the percentage of exposure, for new retail users, it should be less than 0.1% to begin with. There is a lot of things to learn. How do you secure your exchange account, or how do you secure your own wallet? Both of those things actually require practice. How do you send a transaction? So you should only start with a very small amount of money. And only after that, and for most people, I actually don't recommend them having a large proportion of their portfolio in crypto, but they should have a little bit of exposure to, just a little bit of exposure. And then this way they can learn more about it. Without having it, without having a doing a blockchain transaction, if we just view it as an investment asset, that's a very limited view of what crypto, blockchain, Web3 is. So having some exposure to that is good, but it should be a very small percentage.
Yeah, I think that's a healthy perspective to take. Sorry, Rich, go ahead.
I was going to add to something C's was talking about Finance Education Academy.
Yeah.
Prior to moving to Singapore, obviously I had a finance account, and I'm very embarrassed to say that CZ implemented a test, and you had to pass the test in order for you to be able to stake in certain products within finance. And I failed the test.
Aww.
And till today, I'm unable to use that function. So I'm very embarrassed, but I hope if you could help me out on the answers.
He's not going to give you the answer, Rich.
Come on.
In Singapore, I can't help you right now.
I can't help you either, but I'll try. But coming back to the topic of education, just wanted to get your views on this as well. You know, we were talking about your nephew and my son, who's still quite little, but one day, very quickly, they'll grow up. What's that piece of advice that you'll give a very young investor or a very young learner in Web3 on this area?
For kids that age, I would say that, look at everything you see right now and look at everything that's being done right now and know that almost all of it will be obsolete very soon.
True.
Imagine your own world and create that.
Wow, that's quite inspiring, Rich.
Really?
So, yeah. It's something I can bring back to the little ones and share with them that just learn. Everything will be obsolete, but learn anyway.
Hey, I think that we're moving at a faster pace than ever before.
Yeah, true. Yeah. So, CZ, I'm going to spend maybe the next less than 10 minutes or so taking some audience questions, because some audience questions have come in. I do like to pay attention to them as well. Trouble has been taken to put them in. So if I could, let me know who between you would like to take the question. But one is quite interesting. It says, what's the future outlook for stablecoins? Will it coexist with CBDC? Will it be replaced by CBDC? So I thought that's quite topical as well, given that many central banks are indeed looking at this. Not many have implemented it, but certainly almost all are doing some form of research or experiment. CZ, any thoughts?
Yeah, so I think that they will coexist for quite a while. So many people have a slightly simplistic view of CBDC, stablecoin, native cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin, Ethereum, BNB, etc. Those three things are very separate, actually. They don't really overlap. So the native crypto CBDCs, the first versions of it, most of the ones I heard about are going to be unlimited supply. When you use it for cross-border transactions, there will be a lot of permission that you have to apply for and to be granted by a central party. So if you want to move, $100,000, Singapore is probably okay, but if you want to move $100,000 from China to US using a CBDC, there's probably a lot of approval processes involved still. Whereas if you use Bitcoin or stable coins today, much smoother. So there are fundamental differences between the three camps. The CBDCs will have a much higher forced adoption rate if they're really released in full. But the governments may spend around different parts of the world may spend many years or longer time to do sandboxes, slowly roll them out. Stablecoins serve as an intermediary between native cryptocurrencies and fiat currencies, so that it's pegged to fiat currencies, but it's able to move on the blockchain. And this is very good for payments, transferring fixed value between exchanges, so that the arbitrage traders can bring the prices in line across different exchanges in different geographies. So liquidity sharing, just make sure that the global Bitcoin price across thousands of exchanges are very, very close to each other, which is good for consumer protection. The native cryptocurrencies, as I said earlier, they're limited supply. They have more use cases, smart contracts, layer 2s, NFTs, metaverses. So they have different use cases. So all of those things are actually quite different. Many people who are not in the industry think of cryptocurrencies as one thing. Oh, we can central bank digital currencies will just replace everything. But it's not gonna. That's not how it works. It's like, look, when there's a new internet company, it doesn't erase all the other internet companies. There will just be a new use case. So that's kind of my view on those three topics.
Do you want to add to that?
Sure, I think, I agree with everything that CZ said. I think they'll coexist for a very long time. But I think my simpler way that I rationalize what will probably happen is that today we have M0, M1, M2, M3, different forms of money that we exist in today's world. What stable coins will likely be like, there'll be a lot more of them, but it will be some sort of M0, M1 kind of hybrid that would run Web3, would run the metaverse, would run a lot of what we are building today. Then there are tokenized bank deposits that would look a lot more like M1, M2. And those will be used for the same reasons that deposits are used today at banks. They could do a lot of interesting things, maybe like what you mentioned, atomic swaps between bank transactions. And of course, when we get to a central bank level at CBDCs, we're talking about more M2, M3 kind of level of assets. So, I do think that, money has existed in different forms since whenever that was created, and I think that will continue to happen.
Okay, Rich, just now we talked about Jerry Maguire, but that's quite a long time ago. Let's bring it more current to Spider-Man, okay? Because there's a question here which says, with great power comes great responsibility. Yeah. So what can crypto exchanges do better to be accountable to consumers and enterprises? Just now you spoke quite a bit about regulation, but specifically to this question about being accountable to consumers and to the enterprises. And CZ, I'll come to you with the same question in a moment.
I've shared in the previous session before that I do think that regulators generally just hold crypto as a whole responsible for excessive market speculation. I don't think that's fair. Crypto did nothing. People did things. I think I've shared this with you before as well, that I think that unfortunately there are still exchanges today that listings are based on fees. I think there are exchanges today that list spot alongside perps, perpetual swaps, that for new listings, that list them alongside, and that causes excessive speculation. And I think there are a couple of things that the industry can do to basically prevent excessive speculation that could become very harmful to consumers.
CZ.
Yeah, so there's quite a lot of different topics on different subtopics in this area. I think security is number one. As a platform, in order to protect users, we need to be secure. If we're not secure, then our users' funds are at risk. So that's always number one, and that's always the most high priority. On top of that, is sustainability. If a business cannot sustain themselves, then they dig into user funds, customers, other pockets. That causes all kind of problems. So you actually want to use a platform that's profitable and that's sustainable long term in bear markets, in bull markets, etc. On top of that, I think transparency is very important. So we need to be transparent about how we make decisions, how we do things, history, credibility, how do we protect users. We need to be very collaborative. Both with users and also with regulators, governments all around the world. We can't be fighting people, right? This is a new industry. We need support from everybody. And so we need to work with multiple stakeholders, agencies to further evolve this industry. So we have to work with everybody. We have to work with traditional banks, traditional payment service providers. Lastly, we need to achieve a very precise balance. So there's a lot of different things to balance, right? So if we're overly conservative, then we lose the innovation age. If we're overly on the user side, then we may hurt some project teams. If we're overly protective projects, then users may get hurt. So this is why when we decided the Binance logo, originally it was a square that lays on the side, but we decided to put it so that it perfectly balanced on the tip, both horizontally and vertically. So maintaining balance is super important as well. So yeah, in any of those topics we can go really deep, but we won't be able to do it here now.
I learned something new today about the Binance logo. Now, so we have just about a few more minutes left on the clock, and because the next panel features Miss World, let's not keep them waiting. So very quickly, getting your last few thoughts on what you're most looking forward to next year in digital assets. Rich.
Well, CZ and I have been in crypto for about a decade now, and I can say that I seldom see things get built during bull markets. A lot of things get built during crypto winter, and if it looks like a crypto winterish year next year, I do think that it's a great time to build. From my seat, at Paxos and BUSD, I do think that stablecoins, specifically regulated stablecoins like BUSD, will become commonplace, will become mainstream, and can drive mass adoption. So I think 2023 is a great time to think about building infrastructure, to think about building the right partnerships with people, and to think about building the right communication and branding assets so that people know what we have and how it's special and unique. And hopefully, as we come out of this, stable coins will be mainstream, used by banks and corporations, and basically reduce cost and improve efficiency for everyone.
And CC, you have the last word on this panel, your top wish list for 2023. Brand new year.
I have so many specific wish lists. I just want to be invited again to this conference. So we would love to see more retail allowed access in Singapore. We would love to get a license in Singapore. We would like to see the movie.
Thank you so much. And on that note, ladies and gentlemen, please join me to thank our panelists today for the really wonderful conversation on stablecoins, the future that is your money. Thank you.
That was great stuff.